chord first. So here now, after we draw the unit circle for a radius of 1, we have it here now as negative 90. Let's find the sine and the cosine for it. Now, this angle here, the coordinate, that's the terminal side of the angle of negative 90, intersect the circumference of the circle at point. Here we have negative 1, here we have 1, here we have 1, and here we have negative 1. So at point 0, negative 1. This is here the points where angle negative 90 intersect the circumference of the circle. At 0, negative 1. So from here, the coordinate of the angle negative 90 is 0, negative 1. So that's mean this is the cosine and this is the sine. So cosine of negative 90 will be 0 and sine of negative 90 will be negative 1. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So here you have to draw where is angle negative 90. After that, you have to find the coordinate of this angle at the unit circle. This coordinate indicates the sine and the cosine for this angle. Let's do now, or let's have another angle, which is 360. Now, where is 360?
It is positive, so it's counterclockwise.
So
it is in the right.
It is, that's mean I round or I rotate the whole circle and I stop at 0. So this will be 360. Its initial is on its terminal side. I mean like angle theta is 0. It means it is the same as 360. This is the initial side and this is the terminal side. They are lies above each other. So from here now, where's the coordinates of this angle? What is x? It is 1.
1.
Why?
1, 0.
0.
So the coordinate here of the angle 360 is 1 and 0. That's mean this is cosine and this is sine. So what is the cosine of 360?
1.
1. And what is the sine of 360?
0.
0. Now let's do 540. 540, as you know, is greater than 360. So that means that I have to finish the first rotation, then I will gonna on the second one. So now, after we finish the first rotation, we stopped at 360, then 540 is greater than it. So we have now to re-rotate starting from 360. Now, here we have 360 plus 90. What did we get? Because as I told you, between each two perpendicular axes, we have 90. So let's add them now here. 0, 50, 450. So here we have 450 plus 90. What did we have? 0.
540.
540. So here is 540. Here is the angle I want to find its sine and cosine. In order to find its sine and cosine, we have to see here now. What is the coordinates of this angle? What is the value of x?
-1.
-1. And y?
0.
0. So that's mean this is for 540. So that's mean
Cosine -1.
540 will be -1 and its sine will be 0. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's continue now here. Now, so by now we talked about angle 30, 45, 60, and 90. All of these three angles that we talked about them before, sorry, all of these four angles that we talked about them before is in quadrant 1. These are in quadrant 1. Now today we learn the sine and the cosine and the tan for other new angles which are on the axis. This is on the x-axis. This is on the negative x-axis. This is on the negative y-axis. 90 is on the y-axis, and the 360, which is on the x-axis too. Now let's see here what are the sine, cosine, and tangent for each of them. Let's start now with 0 and 360. As I told you, now remember from the unit circle. The unit circle, it was like this. Here we have it. Now, let's remember that this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, 270, and 360. This is 1, 0, -1, 0, 0, 1, and 0, -1. Now from here, we will, as you see, we notice that angle 0 and angle 360 have the same trigonometric ratios. Both of them, its sine is 0. Both of them, their cosine is 1, and their tan is 0. Now, from where we bring the tan, just you have to divide sine into cosine. You will get that the tan is 0. So, because 0 is 1 is 0. So the sine and the cosine for 0 and 360 and the tan are the same. For angle 30, as we said before, its sine is half, its cosine is a square root of 3 over 2, and its tan, just you have to divide the sine over cosine, we get it as 1 over square root of 3.
Teacher?
Yes.
Teacher, do we need to study these things, like to
Yes.
summarize it?
Yes.
Or just like understand from where we get it?
You have to memorize them. It's better for you to, and it helps you to understand everything.
Okay, teacher.
Okay. Now, this is for 30, and this is for, and as we said before, for angle 30. And for angle 60, the sine of 30 is the same as the cosine of 60, as we said before.
Because complementary angles are congruent.
Exactly.
Well, they are the same, not congruent, but they're the same.
And cosine of 30 is the same as sine of 60. And as I told you here for the sine. And the tan, how to find it? By dividing the sine over cosine, you get the tan. So the tan for 30 is 1 over square root of 3, and the tan for 60 is a square root of 3. Now, let's talk about 45. 45, its sine and its cosine are the same. 1 over square root of 2. This is for the sine and for the cosine, and the tan will be 1. And also we talked about 90. 90, which we learned, which we found its sine and cosine today. From here, it is cosine is 0 and its sine is 1. Now, for the tan of 90, it's not defined. Why? Because to find tan, you have to say it is sine 90 over cosine 90, which is 1 over 0. And as we know in math, 1 over 0 is undefined. So tan of 90 will be not defined. Now let's talk about 180. This is 180. Its cosine is -1 and its sine is 0. And once you divide 0 into -1, you get 0.
0.
Now let's talk about 270. As I told you, if sine for 90 is 1, the sine for 270 will be -1. And both of them have the same cosine. And both of them, their tangent are not defined. For 90, which is here, and 270, which is here. They both of them are on the y-axis. 180 and 360, they are the same. 180, its sine is 0, and 360, its sine is 0. But for 180, its cosine is -1, but 360, its cosine is 1. And both of them have the same tangent, which is 0. This is for the most common angles: 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, 270, and 360. These are the most common, the most popular angles. If I ask you as an example, what is the sine of 135? What you have to do?
It's going to be like saying it's sine 45, so it's going to be square root of 2 over 2.
90, 135, it's 90 plus 45. So that's mean it lies on the second quadrant. That's mean it has the same value of sine 45, which is 1 over square root of 2. But since it's in quadrant 1, it is in a quadrant other than quadrant 1, you have to be careful where's the sign is positive, where's the sign is negative, where's the cosine is positive or negative. So for the first step, if I'm asking you to solve or to find sine of 135, the first step you have to say that it's rotate with 45 degrees after 90. So for sure, its sine will be 1 over square root of 2. But if it could be positive 1 over square root of 2, or it could be negative 1 over square root of 2. Now, after that, we will see that sine of any angle in a quadrant 2 is negative. So it will be negative 1 over square root of 2.
Your sine of quadrant 2 is positive. The cosine is negative, right?
Sine, yes, sorry, it will be positive, yes. So you will see that you have to see how to find the sine of 45 in the table here. That's why I told you this is the very important table. Its sine is 1 over square root of 2. So we have to take the same magnitude, but we have to check where is the sine is positive. If it is in quadrant 2, it is positive. But if in quadrant 3 and 4, it's negative. Let's see now here where the sines and where the cosines. We are going to talk about them here. Now, this is here. This is a quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the Roman numbers, as I told you before, or maybe I told grade 8, I forget, sorry. This is 1, 2 dashes, it's mean 2, 3 dashes, it's mean 4. This is 5, 1 before this letter 5, it's mean 4. So this is a quadrant 4. This is the first thing here. Now, in the quadrant 1, both of the cosine and sine are positive. By the way, this is question number 51 in your book. Copy and complete the chart at the right here. So in quadrant 1, both of the cosine and sine are positive. In quadrant 2, now how did you know? In quadrant 2, I told you now, this is cosine and this is sine. So in quadrant 2, this is x and this is y. Okay.
So x, the
So
cosine
where
is
is x
negative.
now? Since x here, I'm on the negative x-axis, so x is negative and y is positive. So that's mean the cosine theta in quadrant 2 is negative and its sine is positive. Is it clear?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
teacher.
Now let's go to quadrant 3. Now quadrant 3, we have the same coordinates here. We have it as -1, -1 as an example. For -1, -1, or we can say it is for x and y. Now x is negative and y is negative. So x cosine, y is sine. So in quadrant 3, both of the cosine and the sine are negative. Let's go now to quadrant 4. In quadrant 4 here, we have positive y-axis and negative, positive x-axis and negative y-axis. So that's mean this is cosine is positive and the sine is negative. So here, just like we have a mirror, cosine is positive, cosine is negative. Sine is positive, sine is negative. This is for quadrant 1 and 3. And here also we have the same mirror, but cosine is negative, cosine is positive. Sine is positive, sine is negative. They are opposite to each other. This is for quadrant 2 and 4. So this is for these 4 quadrants. As you see here now, we see where are the cosine are positive and where are the sine are positive. Now what about the tan?
You explain it in the physics, right?
Yes. In the tan, now let's talk about tan. Since tan is sine over cosine, so it's like positive over positive. So the tan will be positive. So let's write it here. So tan of theta, or let's say tan x, will be positive. Now here, sine is positive and the cosine is negative. So what will the tan will be?
Negative. Negative.
The tan will be negative too. Now, the sine is negative and the cosine is negative. So what the tan will be? The tan will be positive. And the last one here, the sine is negative and the cosine is positive. So the tan will be
negative.
Is it clear?
Yes, teacher, thank you.
Yeah.
This is very important chart. Yes, Rose.
Teacher, can you go back for the other page? I want to ask you a question.
Okay, yes, here.
Like, teacher, here, what exactly we should know from this, like, box?
All of them.
Like, you mean we should know that sine 30 equals this, cosine
Yes.
equals this, and just يعني okay.
Yeah. I told you to memorize them. Remember that the sine of 30 is the same as cosine of 60.
Yeah,
And the
this
same
two
for the
which know.
cosine. 0 and 360 are the same. And they are opposite of 180. And sine and 290 and 270, they have the same cosine and tan, but are different in sign. Or opposite in sign, sorry. That's it.
Yeah, so it's easier to make it like as a table and write how you revise it
Yeah.
and just.
And 45, you have the same sine and cosine.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Yeah. So now here, let's give you an easy way to memorize them, like all sugar to add sugar to coffee. That's mean here A, letter A, yani all of them are positive, sine, cosine, and tan. Sugar, that's mean the sine only is positive. 2, letter T, that's mean tan is positive. And coffee, that's mean the cosine, letter C, is positive. Add sugar to coffee. On the first quadrant, all the ratios are positive. On the second one, for the sine only is positive. For the third one, the tan is positive. And for the last one, the cosine is positive.
I like this way.
I memorized them by saying STC.
Okay, STC help.
No, teacher, sugar add to coffee, it's nicer.
No. STC. Determine the quadrant
Well,
or
that's fine.
where the terminal side of each angle lies. This is here number 45, 46, 47, and so on in your book. Now here, let's now determine where is the quadrant or the axis where the terminal side of each angle lies. Let's start now with 150.
Teacher, this was as gathered 3, right?
3? Why 3?
This question is like the gathered 3 that we solved.
Got it, 3.
Yeah.
Maybe, yes. But you have to tell me in which quadrant. And you have to draw them, then tell me in which quadrant.
Okay, teacher.
Now, let's start with number 45 here. Number 150. 150, this will be now, where is 150? Is it between 0 and 90 or between 90 and 180?
90 and 180.
Bravo. So it has to be here. So number 45, in which quadrant I am? Or
2.
did you know what's the difference between axis and the quadrant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which quadrant here?
2.
Quadrant 2. Bravo. So this is in quadrant 2. Now, number 46, 210 is the first one. Now, 210, is it between 90 and 180 or between 270 and 360 or between 180
270 and 360.
and 180.
So it is in
Between
quadrant
90 and 360.
in quadrant what?
3.
Quadrant 3. Now, number 47, 540.
It's
Here, as you
after
know,
the 360.
we have 360, then we have to continue. 360 plus 90.
450.
450.
450 plus 90.
540.
540. So it has to be here.
In the quadrant 2?
Is it where? Is it on the
On
quad,
X.
on the axis?
It's in the axis.
On the axis. Bravo. Let's write it as negative.
Teacher, should we say in the x-axis? Yeah.
Axis. Now, so but let's repeat here. This is 45. This is 46. This is 47. Now let's do number 48. Now in 48 here, what did we have? We have negative 60. So negative 60, it means that supposed to be
It is in
here.
the fourth.
So each quadrant,
Fourth.
is in a quadrant 4. Now the last one, we have number 49
It will be in the axis.
on the positive x-axis. That's it. Is it clear?
Yeah, but teacher, please don't erase it. Just a minute.
Right, yeah, okay.
Okay, teacher, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Teacher, now for question 49, we will leave it, right? Like we will not draw the zero axis, the line in the zero. Okay.
No, sorry, I didn't continue. No, just make like this.
Oh, okay.
This is mean here, that's the angle is 0. Between these two lines is 0. So these angles here, as I told you, you have to memorize them. Now I want you now, just for 1 minute, look at them before I send you an link to play a game, just to understand what did we say today about the unit circle.
Can we finish it in 9 minutes?
Yes, it's really easy. And tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to talk about problem number 5, how to find the exact values of the cosine and sine.
Miss, I'll go get my charger.
Okay. Just 1 second, I will send you the website link here. After you finish, if you solve it, skip the question. No need to wait for 2 minutes. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Haneen, Lana, Yara.
Yes, teacher, I have for the first